Hello everyone, Brad Johnson here. And in this video we're going to be talking about interpreting your dreams. So before we get into dream interpretation, I just want to share that this is the Newsweek Special Edition for Spiritual Living. This was actually out March 1st, and what's very, very awesome about this special edition of Newsweek is that one of my featured interviews is actually in this. And this has to do with dream interpretation and lucid dreaming. So this is something I just wanted to announce for everybody. So if you are within the United States, you can get this at a Walgreens or a CSV. There's also a link in the description where you can go online and order. Now it has been sold out since its release, but they are going to be putting in some new magazines online to purchase. So you can go into the link below and grab your copy, or again, you can go to Walgreens or CSV and you can grab your own copy as well too of this Newsweek Spiritual Living. It's just been a really amazing seeing that this has been sold out like in a couple days when it first came out. And it's just a great honor that I was interviewed for this particular magazine. So after 7 years, finally hit some type of mainstream. So again, that is the Newsweek Spiritual Living Special Edition. So feel free to check it out. Alright, we're going to go ahead and take a look more into dream interpretation. Now, what is the important thing relating to dream interpretation? Well, it's not so much in regards to what are the symbolisms of dream, but it's more so looking into the idea of the sequence of dream. So we're going to look into this a little bit deeper as we now head over to the whiteboard. Alright, so as we're going to take a look more into dream interpretation in this video, what's a very, very difficult thing to do is try to share generically what a lot of dream symbolisms mean, because what's important is that we're looking at the sequence of a dream. So for example, one of the most common questions is, well, Brad, what does it mean when a person's teeth fall out in a dream? And that's actually something that's discussed in the Newsweek Spiritual Living Edition as well too. One of the questions, well, what happens when a person's teeth fall out? So again, one of the common aspects can be that it has to do with lying. It has to do with deception. It has to do with depression or poor health. I'll just call it pH, poor health. But again, these are just commonalities. This does not mean that because your teeth fall out in a dream that you're lying to yourself, that you're deceiving yourself, that you're depressed, that you're whatever, right? It's more important that we're looking at the sequence of the dream to get an idea about what the elements mean. So you're not putting the cart before the horse, so to speak. And this is what many dream interpreters, from what I've seen, are doing, is that they're really just starting to take a look at the elements. Oh, okay, a person's tooth is falling out. That must mean this, that, and the other thing. Or a person is alone in the dark. Okay, it must mean this, that, or the other thing. When we're looking into our own dreams, it's very, very important that we're understanding the mood, the setting. So, looking in the idea of what the setting is telling us. Okay, are we in a very large room? Are we outside in a very dark forest? Is it raining out? Is it hot? Is it cold? What are the elements pertaining to the setting? Okay, so this is a big one. We want to understand that we are attempting to get an understanding of the mood. So when I've done a lot of dream interpretation with clients, I've really just looked more into the idea of what intuition is telling me in regards to what I'm reading about relating to the setting of the dream. Okay, so the setting is important. Okay, being able to understand the conduct of the dream viewer. Okay, sometimes if a person is frantic, if we see ourselves running into a dark forest, we're just running as fast as we can and we don't know where we're going. We get all of these different types of imagery of maybe scary trees or scary bushes. We may hear howling in the background, etc. So if we're looking into the idea of conduct, about how we are presenting ourselves in the dream, well, this is representing something frantic. Okay, so for the example of the setting, I'm looking into something that may be quote-unquote spooky, or just unpleasant. Okay, if I'm looking into conduct, then I'm looking into something that seems frantic. Okay, now this is giving me ideas about what the elements are involved in this dream, because now I have established a possible idea from what has been shared with me relating to the setting of the dream. I have gained understanding relating to the person's conduct. Okay, now we can take a look at the idea of the elements, the dream symbolisms. Because even though you may look inside a dream dictionary in that way, a dream dictionary from A to Z, to telling you, well, this is what it means when your teeth falls out, or this is what it means when you see a scarecrow in your dream. This is what it means when you see a crow or a bird or falcon, an eagle, maybe, right? Again, it's all based upon interpretation. Now, it's not to say that dream dictionaries can help give you some form of understanding pertaining to some type of symbolisms within your dream, but what's more important is that the experiencer, the one who is actually having the dream, has some type of understanding about what these elements may represent, right? So if we have a feeling of spookiness, of an environment that's unpleasant, that's dark, that's just very, very glum in that particular way. We have a person who's very, very frantic, okay? All of a sudden they see a vine that just descends from the tree, and now it's just starting to wrap around them, right? And now they're just screaming at the top of their lungs. They have this huge vine wrapped around them, and it's now starting to lift them up into the tree, right? So again, this is really sounding like spookiness, frantic, the vine. The vine represents being bound, being restrained, right? Not being able to move, having great restriction in your life or relating to this particular type of event. Because what we're attempting to do is we want to discover in the dream, why is it spooky? Why is it unpleasant? Why am I frantic? Why is there a giant vine that's now just wrapping around me and causing me to be restrained? That I have this immediate restriction, right? And so the dream is telling us these aspects, that there's something there. And really this just comes down to a person's own theme within their life that may represent, for many things, personal security. Can also represent emotional discord, right? Because the screaming is another element. So when a person is screaming at the top of their lungs, then they are scared to death. They're saying, oh my God, I'm so restricted, I'm just frantic, I can't even move, I can't even hardly breathe, I barely have enough oxygen in my being to scream my head off. So basically, this is giving me the idea that somebody is not living their full purpose. Somebody is completely restrained. Somebody is feeling that they are confined, that they are running from something and they don't really know what it is, but all of a sudden this giant vine is coming in and just starting to restrain them. And now they're feeling confined. They're feeling that they are restrained to their own state of fear, to their own state of frantic behavior. All right? This is basically how we want to interpret a dream. So we're not just looking at, okay, well, if your teeth are falling out, this is the reason. Or if you're experiencing a gigantic snake, this is the reason, right? We can't really say the reason, not until we know the sequence. So this is a very, very important thing that, again, a lot of dream interpreters still don't really get. And again, how I interpret this is directly through intuition, all right? So whether you're in a spooky forest and you're frantic and a vine is squeezing you and you're just out of air and you're trying to scream but you're pulling it off, but again it gets harder and harder, it gets tighter and tighter as you continue to scream. All right, so this is giving a really good amount of information pertaining to sequence. Okay? We want to put sequence first before the elements. Okay? Because if you are putting the elements first before the sequence, you are putting the cart before the horse. So it's very, very important that we look at this in that particular way. Now, there are countless types of expressions that we can look into relating to a person's dream. But what I've discovered is that these particular types of symbolisms that represent an unpleasant setting, a spooky setting, frantic conduct, elements of a vine, elements of screaming, elements of shortness of breath, etc. Again, all contrive themselves to the point of understanding the flow here, understanding the flow, the scene. And if we can understand that when we're looking at a scene like this, it comes down to the science of the simple. We need to look at the obvious symbols. It's not about thinking that, well, your tooth is falling out because you're pregnant. Your tooth is falling out because you're lying to yourself, right? That's not going to help anybody. We want to make sure that when we're looking at dream interpretation, we're looking at the science of the simple. SOTS, because often it's the most simplistic obviousness, right? So when a vine is squeezing us, when it's wrapping itself around us, and we're just trying to scream at the top of our lungs, the oxygen's leaving us, and we can't even scream anymore, what is this telling us, right? How does it feel? What do you feel when you're being squeezed? When you're having this gigantic vine that's getting tighter and tighter, right? You're getting shortness of breath. You're feeling restrained. You're feeling confined. There's nowhere you can go. Absolute restriction, right? So this is basically how we interpret our dreams. We look at them in a very strong state of obviousness. We look at the science of the simple, right? So we could see a snake in our dream, and a person comes up to me and says, "Oh, Brad, I dreamt about a snake last night." Okay. How did it go? Tell me, show me the mood. Where did you see that snake? Was it on the ground? Was it in the water? Was it in the air? You know, how long was the snake? What kind of snake was it? Can you identify the kind of snake? How did it make you feel when you saw the snake, right? So it's not about the person that says, well, you know, I see a snake and maybe that means I'm going to be eaten. Maybe it's representing an element of fear, okay? And that's why we're saying that maybe it's because this, maybe it's because that. Snakes have many different interpretations to them. They can also represent keepers of wisdom. They are guardians of knowledge. That's one particular aspect of them. They can also represent something predatory. Yes, they can represent fear. They can represent the ego, right? There's many things that the snake represents, but without the data that is telling us about the setting, that is telling us about your conduct, that is telling us about the elements, okay? What else was there around a snake? Did you see it on a path? You know, if you saw it on a path, how was it moving, right? So we want to look into these nuances. We want to get the understanding that now that I understand that the setting was actually quite peaceful. It was in this really peaceful forest. It was so quiet, it was serene, and I was sitting on the ground, very nice and peacefully. And all of a sudden, this big snake just came up, and it was colored white. And it was just kind of slithering by. It kind of just slithered around me in a circle, and then kind of moved out, okay? That has nothing to do with fear whatsoever. Because again, you're looking at a peaceful setting, all right? So there's peace in that setting. Your conduct was that you were serene, very tranquil, okay? The elements of the snake, the grass, the forest, peacefulness, right? Looking at the idea of a white snake, okay? This represents a type of divinity. This is representing that the snake is bonding with you to share knowledge. So knowledge is coming your way, right? This is how we are truly interpreting dreams, okay? So it's no longer about trying to feel that this is what a snake means in a dream. This is what a vine means in a dream. This is what a big tree means in a dream, okay? We want to look into the flow. We want to look into the sequence. So intuition is primarily the strongest catalyst that helps us to interpret our dreams. When we look into it intuitively, we start to write down our dreams. We start to look at them. We decrypt the ideas of what's coming through by looking into the elements, by understanding the sequence. Okay, so what does it mean if I have this giant chalice right here in my hands, and I'm just sitting on a throne, and it's filled with this beautiful pristine water. It looks so crystal clear, and I started to drink it down, and I just felt like wings, poof, popped out at me, right? So again, that's kind of looking at the idea of almost like a holy grail in that particular way. It's giving you the idea of a reward. It's giving you the idea that you are cleansing yourself, detoxifying yourself through the idea of the water. And now you're sprouting wings out around this throne. Now this represents prestige. This represents divinity. This represents a very strong connection to harmoniousness, in that way you could say. And so when we're drinking that water from this big gigantic chalice, again, that represents fortune, that represents wealth. Okay, so that can represent the idea of a transition, a transitional detox that's coming through your body, and now all of a sudden you're sprouting wings. So this is representing a type of providence to you moving into higher ground, ready to take flight, ready to move, right? So you see how these very simple elements are connecting together as we understand the sequence. Because if I just showed a chalice to a person, I could tell you there'd be 1,001 dream interpreters all giving their own definition about what a large golden chalice represents. But that's not important. What is important is the sequence. We need to look at the sequence. Okay, so what were you wearing when you were sitting on that throne? What were the colors that you saw around you? If you saw a throne room, what else did you see beyond the throne? Right? What were you sitting on? What type of chair was it? Right? So you want to look at all these moods, all these elements. How did you feel when you were picking up the chalice, when you were about to drink out of it? How did it feel when the wings were sprouting out? Right? That is telling us the true message of the dream. So this takes some time. This really does take quite a bit of time to develop and understand a little bit more. But the more that you are in alignment with your own intuition, the more that you're going to be able to make really good sense about a lot of your dreams. So this is kind of going to move us into the second area. In the second area, we're going to learn about how we can document our dreams better. Okay? So we want to be aligned to document. Okay? It requires a certain alignment. There's people who I've talked to who have no problem in going in very deep specifics relating to their dream, because they feel that this is just natural. I've been able to dream really, really vividly since I was a kid, and I was able to remember all these great details. And there's people like, I haven't remembered my dream since 1975, right? Something like that. So for those who are still attempting to remember their dreams, it really does not take a great deal of effort to do this. You simply have to put in the energy, right? So you want to be able to communicate with your subconscious. Okay? So subconscious communication. What do I mean by that? Well, that can start with meditation. That can be done with prayer, affirmation. Okay, let's go at AFF. This can also be done with symbols, or such as vision boards. Okay, the whole idea is that we want to feed an area within our mind that is not getting enough focus, right? Because if our focus in our mind here, okay, if our focus is on a car, if our focus is on bills, if our focus is on relationship, etc., where's the room for remembering your dreams, right? Basically, you're committing 99% of your energy towards everything else except your dreams. So you want to take some energy out of the percentage pool here and put that towards dreams, right? So you're rewiring yourself. And this is the same with anything. It's the same with how you wish to attract financial abundance. It's how you want to move on prosperously through your life, by putting intentions forward and focusing on those intentions and allowing the universe to receive enough momentum, enough inertia to process this particular type of cosmic order, so that your reality can now reshape itself, right? So that's what we're doing here, is when we're aligning ourselves to document, now we're making everything about dreams. We're going into meditation, we're looking into our subconscious mind, we're talking to our own inner self. I would like to remember my dreams. I want to keep track of what my own higher self, of what my own great subconscious mind is telling me. I'm going to do a prayer each and every single night, just before I go to bed, asking my guides, asking the power of my subconscious mind to please help me to remember my dreams. That can also represent dietary changes, drinking lots of water, right? Detoxing yourself can be a big help to helping yourself remember your dreams. So if you're having a hard time remembering your dreams, really look into what you feel you are experiencing. Well, do you go off into bed and you just fall asleep and it's like just a black screen? All of a sudden I wake up, I have no idea what I dreamt about. Okay, that can happen. I've talked to people like that. Okay, so we have a BS. We have a black screen, right? Or a blank screen. And we don't recall what we're dreaming about. That's okay, because again, there's not enough inertia here within our mind to bring about enough dream sequences. There's also representing areas within our mind where we're still busy with a lot of other things. We're busy about our relationships, we're busy about our business, we're business about our career, etc. And that's getting so much focus. This is where people basically overthink themselves into unconsciousness, right? That happens. And when that happens, your mind becomes splintered. And so the conscious interface, which I'll call the CI here, the conscious interface can't create any particular type of momentum with your dream state because you're not focusing on your dreams. You're focusing on paying the rent. You're focusing on paying your mortgage. You're focusing on the kids. You're focusing on what kind of groceries to buy next week. Whatever it is. All of your energy is coming to there. It's so much physicality that you don't give enough energy back into subconscious reality, right? So when you just try to make room here, if I'm starting to make, say, about 20% of my attention is focusing on dreams, well, now I'm going to start remembering some of them now. Now I'm going to stop feeling that I need to focus so much on my material world and just overthinking myself half to death, overthinking myself into unconsciousness, and then just waking up and not knowing what the heck I dreamed about, right? That's what's going to cause this distortion, right? So the conscious interface cannot go into the dream planes because you're focused so much on the materialistic. You're focused on the physical world, right? So you want to retrain the mind in giving yourself, even if it's just a little bit of more percentage, relating to your dream space. I want to find out what my higher self is telling me. I want to find out what's going on in my life right now. I want to see if there's any kind of insecurities that I don't know about that I'm still battling with. Dreams are perfect for that, right? That's the icing on the cake with dream interpretation, is when you give yourself that devotion, that dedication to be in alignment to document your dreams, right? Some of us may have really, really, really complex dreams. I do. I have quite a lot of layers. One of the funny dreams I actually had just last night was a very amusing dream. I was basically just an observer in this dream. And I was actually dreaming of this, kind of really dark, black-robed kind of evil queen in that way from another particular type of galaxy, right? And she basically created this artificially intelligent asteroid, right? And I was able to look, just kind of like in God mode, I was just able to look at this asteroid, and there was like a stamp on it, right? Like a cartoon character giving the thumbs up, right? And it was a stamp on this asteroid, and that basically represented artificial intelligence. Well, she was telling this asteroid to go to Earth and destroy Earth based upon its power as an artificially intelligent asteroid. But what happened in the dream is that the asteroid actually went to her home planet and blew it up instead. And the queen said to the asteroid, "Did you do it? Did you fulfill the task?" "Yes, ma'am. The world has been destroyed." And she was looking at the coordinates of where the asteroid was and just screamed, "You idiot! You blew up my homeworld!" And what was the reaction of the artificial intelligent asteroid? "Whoops." And that was basically it, right? So that's just giving me the idea of a very strong state of amusement, right? Sometimes I'll just look into a dream and I'll be in pure observation mode. I'm not attached to anything. I'm just looking into this beautiful adventure that unfolded. This is also telling me that there's a lot of people that can represent that, DQ, the Dark Queen, right? And they want something to be destroyed, something that will cause a great amount of chaos. But what happens is their invention turns back upon themselves. And it's representing that state of instant karmic rebound, right? So that's just giving me an impression. As I was looking into an observer, I wasn't the asteroid, I wasn't the queen, or you could look at it that I was the asteroid and I was the queen. And I was looking at this simply in a state of observation, right? Our dreams, it can be hilarious. I remember when I had this dream, I was laughing my ass off at it, like just out loud in my dreams. I think if there was someone really close by, they'd say, "What the hell are you laughing at? Wake up, what are you laughing at?" And I'd tell them the dream, right? What about this artificial intelligence, with this little cartoon face with a thumbs up on it, blowing up another planet that was part of the Dark Queen's homeworld and wasn't able to destroy Earth. It just rebounded back upon herself, right? So there's certainly a form of symbolism there as well too. Now, how did I know how to do that? I looked all into the elements. I knew that this was very amusing. If you look at a stamp of a cartoon character on an asteroid, that's artificial intelligence, right? You're going to notice something really funny, very amusing is going to be. There's even some funny background music as well too. So I could tell that it was kind of a comedy in that way. It was very lighthearted in that way, although very unfortunate for the Dark Queen to have her world blow up by the very invention that she created to destroy another planet. Okay, so again, this is just giving us an idea, an understanding that I've looked into the sequence, I've looked into the flow, I looked into all these different types of elements, right? And telling me that this really just symbolizes, in a nutshell, overall karmic rebound, but in a comedic sort of way. So again, the more that we can put energy into our dream states, that we really want to just start to focus on everything that a dream represents to us. I want to look more into the subconscious. I want to look into lucid dreaming. I want to look more into me becoming very vivid in dreams. And of course, there's a lot we can talk about. But again, primarily what we're looking at here is dream interpretation and how to align to interpret your dreams. So again, look into this: meditation, prayer, affirmations, symbols, vision boards, your dietary requirements, etc. Detoxing the body is great for that because, again, all emotions that we're getting are storing itself in specific areas in the body. And the more that we can work with ourselves, clear ourselves, start eating right, start exercising, our body is now going to start attuning itself to a higher frequency, and we won't be bombarded by so many thoughts because we're forgiving a lot of those elements and helping us to carry on and move on here. So this is something that, if you feel, really serves you, that you can align to help you understand, to remember a lot of your dreams, and then just starting to write it down, right? So the key here is write. Keep writing your dreams. This is what I did for at least a year and a half straight when I was starting out on my spiritual journey. Looking into my dreams had so much to share with me. Things that my connections on a universal level didn't want to tell me yet, or things that I really couldn't figure out in that way. I turned to my dreams, and a lot of things happen, a lot of revealings. So it's a really great thing when you are in alignment to your dreams, when you meditate, when you pray, when you create a vision board, whatever it may be. This is something that's very important so that you can write out your dreams and keep track of them and just start to look at them. If you need help, well, that's why I'm here, right? But just being able to write them out, get an understanding of where the flow is, and sometimes we do need that other person's perspective because we're just so involved with ourselves we can't figure out what this dream is attempting to tell us. So again, that's why other people are here. But when you attempt to look at this and decrypting your dream, try to step outside of yourself and work to become the observer, imagining that you're looking at someone else's dreams, who again has the setting, who again has the particular type of content, the flow, so to speak, right? The elements, making sure that how they are composed in their dream. How do they feel, right? Looking into all these particular types of qualities As we look into those qualities, now we're getting understanding about how we can decrypt. Okay, and we want to remember the science of the symbol. Okay, keep it simple with the idea of the symbols, because the higher mind, the higher self, your subconscious mind, is basically attempting to tell you this in a simplistic way, but it needs to be done through riddles. It needs to be done through this type of enigmatic way, because we operate on a level of free will on this planet. So there's a lot of things that we have to figure out for ourselves. So it's basically like putting together a jigsaw puzzle. All the pieces look very, very simple, but we have to see that when they're scattered, it's our job to put all the pieces together and find out exactly what our dream is attempting to tell us. So again, let's look into the sequence. When you understand sequence, that's when you'll be able to decrypt your dreams very successfully and get an understanding about what your subconscious mind, your higher self, is attempting to tell you. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Brad Johnson. Any questions relating to this video, please feel free to visit my website, realitywhisperer.com. Thank you so much, and I will talk to you again in the next video. Namaste, and may it be well with you. Goodbye.